Benson is here. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda's here. Fertig.
Fertig here.
Fertig is here. Hoffner.
Hoffner here.
Hoffner is here. Miner.
Miner's here.
Miner's here. Moser.
Mosier here.
Moser's here. Schramm.
Schramm here.
Schramm is here. Weber.
Weber is here.
Weber is here. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is present.
Mayor Johnson is present. City Manager Leon.
Leon's here.
City Manager Leon is here. City Attorney Denherter.
Denherter is here.
City Attorney Denherter is here.
All right, you have before you the minutes of the regular meeting of May 11th, 2020. What is your pleasure?
This is Miner. Move to approve the minutes.
Weber second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion about the minutes? Al, roll call, please.
Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson is aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Miner.
Miner, aye.
Miner is aye. Moser.
Mosier, aye.
Moser is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Motion passes 9-0.
City managers report.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the commission. Very quickly, although I know you've all seen the sales tax report, we were up for the month, 2.8%, all 3 pennies. The accumulated difference for the year then brings us up 6.64%. That's great, especially given what we've seen here lately happening. Not as good a news just in the triple B, down 19.3%, but that only pulls them down just under 0.2% for the year. So we're talking a lot, not just as a staff, but also sort of throughout the state as to what these numbers mean. Do these mean people are staying more local and shopping more local? They're still spending the same amount of money, but spending it differently perhaps than they had before. Not sure. Are we still yet to see some of the impacts? Not sure about that either. But as we move ahead, we're going to continue to be conservative with our expenditures and pull back wherever we can on spending for our budget, even this year in 2020. So I'll keep you posted as we continue to get sales tax revenues in and numbers in. I think by the time we meet again to talk budget, we should have May numbers. That'll be very helpful for us. I wanted to mention that we will continue to have our go-to meetings for a while. On Friday, if you move forward with the canvassing of the election on Friday, June 5th, we will hold that canvass of the election. And we need to have 5 folks there at least, minus anybody who was elected. So if we have a city commissioner who is reelected, they won't be able to be part of that 5 to canvass. So we're going to be reaching out to you all to see who can physically come or is comfortable coming. We'll keep you apart. We'll provide you with a face covering if you don't have one, but we'll be in contact about that. We want people that are comfortable, but we don't need all 9 of you. However, all 9 of you can certainly come. May 31st is when the governor's executive order expires for allowing us not to have a physical space for meetings. So at our upcoming meeting, that's a regular city commission meeting, that would be the June 8th meeting, we will have a physical place that will be the RTEC for people to come and participate with social distancing involved. I still think we should continue to conduct our meeting this way and limit the number of people getting together. If we are all there and then we get 10 people from the public there, then all of a sudden there's 25 people there. So I'd like to keep that in place for now, but we will have that location available again for folks to participate. Again, we'll have the PD helping us monitor how many people come in and making sure folks stay apart so that we're being careful about that. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that as to how we will be conducting our meetings going forward. So somebody will be reaching out to you about June 5th to make sure that we have enough of you there and to make sure everyone knows the protocol, coming in, washing hands, etc. So we'll work on that in the next week or so. I don't have other things to report unless the commission has specific questions for me on any of those items or anything relating to city business.
This is Commissioner Schramm. Amy, does the state, there's no way to get business size as far as when they're reporting sales tax for like big box, Walmart, Hy-Vee, or versus the small? I mean, because I have a feeling, just anecdotally speaking to people, the small businesses, the data is a little skewed. In fact, that we had a large number of shoppers using our large facilities versus the small businesses, and so the small business owners really didn't have a great showing in April, like it actually reflects. Yeah,
no, unfortunately we cannot. We would like to have that. We would also like to know what's bought, what's the sales tax online versus what's bought here locally, physically. We cannot get that from the state. Every city and community would like to have that. We do have categories, retail, construction, that kind of thing, but we're not able to get a breakdown per store, even for big box. So I've heard anecdotally that it might depend upon the type of business that somebody has. So for example, I've heard anecdotally that our home improvement places, big and small, are doing a very good business right now because a lot of people are staying put and doing those kind of projects. And then that maybe some of our services that require contact are not doing as well because people maybe, even if they're open, are feeling less comfortable. So I wish I could tell you that. I can't.
Any more commission discussion or questions for the city manager? All right, if not, we'll move on to public appearances. And this is a time for members of the public to address the city commission about an item not on tonight's agenda. So I will go to Dave Mingo. Are there any phone calls or YouTube comments?
We have no phone requests under public appearances, and I'm drawing this out a little bit here to wait for the 11-second lag to the YouTube chat based on your request. And having completed that, we have no YouTube chat requests for public comments.
Thank you, Dave. And Colleen, any email?
We have no emails at this time regarding public appearances.
All right, thank you very much. Then let's move on to the consent item agenda. Number 1 is establishing noon, Friday, June 5th, 2020 as the time and date of a notice to call a special city commission meeting to canvass the election returns of the City of Yankton election to be held on Tuesday, June 2nd. What is your pleasure?
Schramm, so moved.
Weber.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Roll call, please.
Weber.
Weber votes aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Motion to set the notice to call for the city election passes 9-0.
Number 2 under the consent agenda is setting June 15th through 16th, 2020 for our budget workshop meeting dates, and those would begin at 5:30 p.m. I think in recent years, we've typically only needed the first night of that. Amy, we don't need a motion. We don't need a vote on that, do we?
No, unless you guys want to fight about the dates.
Is there any commission discussion on that? All right, if not, we'll move on to number 3 under the consent agenda, and that's establishing June 8th, 2020 as the date for the public hearing on the transfer of ownership and location of a retail on-off sale malt beverage and South Dakota farm wine license for July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021 from Shree LLC at 821 Broadway to P&P Lottery Enterprises at 3010 Broadway Avenue. What is your pleasure?
Weber moves.
Sarda second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dave, any commentary via phone or YouTube?
No comments from either technology source.
Right, and Colleen, any email input?
No emails at this time.
Okay, thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Benson.
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, I.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, I.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Consent item number 3 passes 9-0.
All right, we'll move on to old business, and maybe this is a good time to remind people that if you do have input or questions about an item, we do have that 11-second lag between our stream and the YouTube stream, so feel free to put those comments in early, and Dave or Colleen can be ready for whenever we ask for feedback, just to make sure we don't miss you on something, because we don't want to do that. So number 1 under old business is consideration of memorandum 20-98 regarding the request for a special events off-sale package wine and malt beverage dealer's license for July 18th, 2020 from Yankton Area Arts. And this would be for an event at the GAR Hall at 508 Douglas, as well as their parking lot and the neighboring Sacred Heart Church parking lot. And this is their pickup dinner and drink, or picnic dinner and drink pickup. What is your pleasure?
Sarda moves memorandum.
Benson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dave, any feedback via telephone or YouTube?
None.
Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
Thank you very much. Al, roll call, please.
Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, I.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, I.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is aye.
Johnson is aye. Old business number 1 passes 9-0.
Number 2 under old business is consideration of memorandum 20-99 regarding the applications for renewal of malt beverage licenses for the 2020 through 21 licensing period. What is your pleasure?
Benson moves to approve.
Schramm, second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this item? Dave, any feedback via YouTube or telephone?
No comments.
Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is an aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. Motion for old business item number 2 passes 9-0.
Thank you. Moving on to new business. Number 1 is consideration of memorandum 20-101 regarding a sidewalk cafe license for 301 East 3rd Street. And that is otherwise known as the Boathouse. What is your pleasure?
Mosier moves the memorandum.
Schramm, second.
Benson, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dave, any feedback via YouTube or telephone?
We have no comments.
Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor's, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson is aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item 4-1 passes 9-0.
Number 2 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-102 regarding resolution 20-36 to apply for highway infrastructure funds for the Cedar Street Bridge. That project is estimated to cost $1.86 million. And if we were awarded that, our local contribution would be 18.05%, which is $335,730. What is your pleasure?
Schramm, so moved.
Minor,
Sarda,
second.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item? Dave, any feedback via YouTube or telephone?
No comments on the phone or on chat.
And Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
All right. Al, roll call, please.
Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier is aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item number 2 passes 9-0.
Number 3 under new business is consideration of memorandum 20-103 regarding a bid award for 12th Street and Pine Street reconstruction project. And the apparent low bidder is D&G Concrete Construction of Sioux Falls for $646,174.99. And that is $133,354.81 below our engineer's estimate. So very competitive bid. What is your pleasure?
Weber moves the memorandum.
Hoffner, second.
We have a motion and a second. Any commission discussion on this item?
Did we receive multiple bids on this one? It just seems odd that we were so, I mean, that's a great bid. There's no arguing that's a great bid, but it seems so low compared to what the engineer's report was. Was it similar to other bids that came in?
We did receive 2 local bids as well. Those local bids were significantly higher than the apparent low bidder. According to our engineers, they've indicated that our local contractors are really busy with projects locally and other places. So that's probably why their bid wasn't as competitive. But we felt this is a great bid and that we should, take this project while we have a good, strong bid. And we have the second penny funds to do it.
Any more commission discussion? Dave, any feedback via YouTube or telephone?
There are no phone or chat comments.
Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
Thank you. Al, roll call, please.
Mosier.
Mosier, aye.
Mosier's aye. Schramm.
Schramm, aye.
Schramm is aye. Weber.
Weber is I.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, aye.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, aye.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor's aye.
Minor is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Mayor Johnson is aye. New business item number 3 passes 9-0.
And number 4 under new business is the introduction and first reading of ordinance number 1034, granting powers to slow the spread of the COVID-19 disease. Do we have an introduction?
Sarda introduces.
Thank you. And for our viewing audience, Ross, can you summarize what we're doing here, making clear that this does not put anything into place right now. It's just there in the future should we need it.
Certainly, Mayor, that is correct. This is City Attorney Ross Denherter. The current ordinance that already exists on the books is temporary in nature. It sunsets on June 8th. So at that point in time, the commission loses its power to close certain businesses or restrict gathering limitation sizes within city limits. It does not appear that there is any desire, and as a result, the commission will not be closing any businesses with the ordinance as it's drafted. However, if the ordinance were to be passed, it gives the power back to the commission for a period of another 180 days to potentially close businesses if that was indeed necessary based on rising COVID numbers at some point in the future. It also gives the commission the power by resolution to restrict the occupancy or in other ways restrict the manner in which businesses are conducting themselves in order to slow the spread of the disease. It also gives the commission the ability to reimpose gathering size limitations. Again, this is just a first reading based on state law. The city commission cannot pass an ordinance with the effect of law until there is also a second reading. And that can't take place until at least 5 days after the first reading at a properly noticed public meeting. So this has effectively been drafted as a placeholder because effective June 8, the commission loses its existing powers when the existing ordinance 1033 sunsets. So this ordinance would be taking the place of the one that would sunset and just essentially restore to the commission powers to take appropriate action if that was deemed necessary. Staff's recommendation, as I understand it, is to simply have the first reading today, which we did by introduction, and not schedule a second reading until such time as the commission would ask for a special meeting so that a second reading could take place. If and when that were to occur, that meeting could take place on 24 hours prior notice because that needs to be published. At the meeting that is subsequently held, the second reading would take place. That's another opportunity for the public to weigh in on the regulations that are contained within this ordinance. If this commission were to pass it at that meeting, it would be published the next day as long as we can coordinate the publication with the press and Dakotan. Following publication, this commission would need to have another special meeting to consider a resolution to exercise some or all of the powers that are contained within this ordinance. So again, I would reiterate for the benefit of the public, This ordinance does not close anything, and it is also, my understanding is not going to be passed on any sort of schedule at this time. It's there waiting in case it is needed based on a spike in numbers that threatens to overwhelm our local healthcare system.
Ross, this is Commissioner Fertig. I think it's also important to note that the reason why we're doing this is that we can react on any kind of a spike in a lot shorter time than if we were not to do this and we had to start over from scratch. Isn't that correct?
That is correct. As I indicated earlier, the first and second readings of ordinances builds in a delay period, which makes it hard in an environment like this where the commission may need to act very quickly. It makes it hard, if not impossible, for the commission to act quickly. And ordinarily, I'd say that due process makes that desirable. But in a condition where we are trying to slow a pandemic, a disease that is overwhelming our healthcare system, along with the delay built in any action that this commission would take and the lag time to see a response, it is imperative that this commission have the power to act very quickly. So that's all that this ordinance does. It extends that power to this body.
Any more commission discussion? Dave, any input from the public via YouTube or the telephone?
There are no phone or YouTube chat comments at this time.
All right. And Colleen, any email feedback?
No emails at this time.
Thank you. Okay. The ordinance has been introduced. With that, we've exhausted tonight's agenda, so I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Sarda moves to adjourn.
Strom, second.
We have a motion and a second. Al, roll call, please.
Strom.
Strom, aye.
Strom is aye. Weber.
Weber is aye.
Weber is aye. Benson.
Benson, I.
Benson is aye. Sarda.
Sarda, I.
Sarda is aye. Fertig.
Fertig, aye.
Fertig is aye. Hoffner.
Hoffner, aye.
Hoffner is aye. Minor.
Minor, aye.
Minor is aye. Mosier.
Mosier, I.
Mosier is aye. Mayor Johnson.
Johnson, aye.
Johnson is aye. Motion to adjourn passes 9-0.
All right. Well, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone.